In putting together Buffalo's first community cafe, Mandy Bailey and Trueman Muhrer-Irwin partnered with several different not-for-profit organizations before deciding to tackle the project on their own. And while Trueman ably tells the story of their efforts and achievements to date, as he states, and as is very evident in this interview, Mandy is the heart and soul of the Big, Big Table.
When it comes to the organization, Mandy is absolutely the heart and soul of Big Big Table, but she hasn't had to do it alone. And when we get it off the ground, although she is going to be the person sort of captaining the kitchen operation, she's
officially like the chef.
The executive chef doesn't do the cooking, they do the planning and the management.
Right. And one of Mandy's biggest strengths is meal planning based on a variable set of resources. Part of the community cafe model involves not having a set menu. You have certain things that are staples, and maybe you'll have something like salad or pizza or quesadillas that are always there, but what's in them will change.
Right.
So your menu varies.
Hey, what's in the fridge today?
Yeah, what's in season, what's on sale, what got donated. Mandy and I bought the restaurant equipment ourselves. It's in storage. We bought it from a local organization, another local nonprofit who had it all in storage, and we've been paying on that. We have it paid off as of this month.
How long were you paying on it?
About a year. Paying every month on it for about a year, something like that. Yeah.
And when you say restaurant equipment, what's in it? What's there?
Stove, refrigerator, freezer, counters, dishes, shelving.
Tons of stuff.
We've also received some donations. We brought in some money with our fundraiser that we did at the Resurgence Brewery, and then we actually just recently got a small grant from the United Way. Just a few weeks ago, which helped us cover the large cost of the 501c3 filing, which is actually pretty expensive. Our operating expenses are pretty low when we're just a volunteer board of directors.
And you have no overhead. You don't even have a place yet.
Right. Yeah. So it's a lot of incidental costs. Yeah. And so we've raised so far has covered those.
I mean, you have branding. You've got colors and names and logos. When did that come about?
Phase 2.
What was phase 1?
When the idea was introduced to me.
Phase 2 was, second organization comes in and says, we want to do this, we have the place, we're renovating it. During that phase, they did some focus grouping, came up with a logo, the name, like you talk about, that's when the branding came into play. So Mandy got permission to continue it on and pursue it. Yeah. They let her keep all that. Mandy carried it on her own from there.
So the name, did you have any part in that, Mandy?
Yeah. That was a group of friends sitting outside brainstorming, and a dear friend, Shannon, leaned over and said, oh, let's see if we can go to our fantastic 90s place together and make a song reference, because I know you know song lyrics. And big, big table with lots and lots of food. It's like, yeah!
It's a reference to a 90s Christian rock song. Super cheesy song.
Awesome.
Super awesome song. Yeah, that's where the term Big Big Table comes from.
Who chose the colors?
Well, this has been my favorite color for my whole life.
So are we in phase 3 yet?
Well, I would say phase 3 is when Mandy decided to just run with it. Make it happen. Make it its own thing rather than a program under a larger organization to make it its own entity.
Once Mandy made the decision to develop the Big Big Table independently, she and Trueman began researching Buffalo's neighborhoods to determine the best location for their community cafe. Ultimately, they discovered a perfect place on the Queen City's burgeoning Lower West Side.
We've looked at a couple other places, but that's where we really want to be.
On the nose.
It has a large underserved population, but it also has pockets of the community where there's significant income. Entire streets where everybody makes over $100,000. It has one of the largest concentrations of people below the poverty line within the city of Buffalo, but it also has one of the highest concentrations of people with a master's degree or higher. This is an ideal place for a community cafe. Our very biggest challenge has been finding a place. Right now, we're trying to negotiate the terms of our lease in regards to during our build-out phase, ideally getting reduced rent during the phase where we're doing build-out, not operating. But very optimistic that this place will be the place, and then
Do you have a target date for when you can make that announcement at all?
3 years ago.
Oh, I mean, well, hopefully we can. Spring next year is when we'd like to actually be open.
You have so much in place already.
Yeah.
Really, it's going to come down to getting the details worked out and then the money.
Yeah.
How do you see finding the funding that you need?
We've already applied for a lot of grants, so we're waiting for the result.
We just got our first grant for the United Way, and then there are several grants that we're in the process that the deadline hasn't come up yet. There's a lot of grants out there that relate to food security, community building, that we are very eligible for. Mm-hmm. We're also going to do a major crowdfunding campaign. There's also the possibility of taking out a loan through the nonprofit business development organization WEDI that we may or may not, depending on where we go with our funding.
I'm sure that you can already describe to me what this cafe is going to look like. Mandy, what's it going to look like?
I had actually built it out of Legos already. It will literally be one big table.
Will be some additional seating, some smaller tops.
How many will the big table seat, Melanie?
20-something, possibly 30.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner? What are you going to be open for? Do you know
We're
yet?
going to start out with lunch.
Extended lunch hours, so going from like a brunch hour to like a late
like
lunch.
11:30 to 3 or 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
Really, in the restaurant business, the whole thing is turn the table.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be able to turn the table to get more people in the door. If you have a table for 20-some people, they're not going to leave. They're going to be like the table at any diner where the 5 or 10 guys that are the stalwarts of the community sit there and all morning drink coffee.
Sure.
But you need to be able to turn that table at the same time because your goal is to feed people.
Yeah,
so how are you going to balance that? Or have you not gotten that far?
I have gotten lots and lots of tips about particularly that from lots of other cafes. So there's a way to do that.
There's best practices for how to deal with people who want to come and stick around all day, because everybody gets to eat. You're not. Although volunteering and contributing is central to the model, we're never going to turn anybody away. If somebody eats and then just refuses to help out or volunteer, everybody gets fed.